Alright, so 2020 is about to end, and typically when people transition to a new year, they want to be a new person, right? So, a new year, new me. And how they do that is maybe they want to be more fit, maybe they want to make more money, maybe they want to learn a new skill. Overall, they just want to do something that will like improve their life or just improve themselves in some aspect, some way or another. So I know going out of 2020, it wasn't really the best year for most people, but that shouldn't stop you from like trying to see how you can improve yourself or have a better life in the next coming year, 2021. So I know because of this whole pandemic, things drastically changed. Whether it went from like working from your office to now working from home, or maybe even like you had a stable job but then you got laid off. Unfortunately, sorry to hear that. But that was beyond your control, and really there are things that you can control, such as these small little things that can add up. Your small little contributions, your small little actions, they will eventually add up into much greater and larger things that will eventually affect your life in a positive way. So some of these things that I mentioned earlier, like exercise or making more money, learning a new skill, overall I want to prove to you that these small little changes can add up. So the first one is like exercise. Typically everyone waits until like the next year to start becoming fit. I don't really know why they do that. They could just start like the next day, but overall, I see where they're going. They want to change, so they want to be fit. And really the only way they can actually become fit is just to start. So the hardest part really is just to start, and I'm going to be honest with you, the first day is going to suck the most. You're going to be miserable, but so long as you're consistent, you will eventually see the light at the end of the tunnel. So for example, your first day going to the gym, maybe you do some cardio. And this is like the first time you've ever worked out in like a few weeks. So of course, you're going to feel that pain. And I know maybe you're following Instagram or some other athletes, to them it's just easy. You look at them and they're not even breaking a sweat. While you, on the other hand, maybe you're just walking uphill for like a few seconds, but you're already breaking a sweat, you're gasping for air. You're just wondering in your mind, how can they do it so easily when I'm having such a hard time and I'm doing it, lighter than what they're doing. I know it's really discouraging because when you look at that from like their point of view versus your point of view, you're doing a much lighter weight, or maybe you're walking less than them. It's just discouraging. So you don't really want to continue on because you're just sort of embarrassed to see how like compared to what they're doing versus what you're doing, you don't really want to keep going. But in reality, everyone started somewhere. Everyone started at that point. Everyone had to have taken that first step, that first day, the most suckish day, the most miserable day. But once you overcome that first day, as long as you're consistent, you will eventually see results. I'm not a doctor or anything, but just stop if you're in pain, if you feel like you're gonna pass out or anything, just don't push yourself to think that you can be at that level the first day. Consistency here is the key, not how much more weight or how much faster you run or anything like that. The next step is also pretty important. It's like money. Once they get the new year, they want to, make more money. Maybe they want a promotion, maybe they want a raise. How are they gonna do that? How are they gonna earn more? For me personally, as a sort of relatively young person, and just like starting the whole work field, if you want to have more money, instead of earning more money, you just have to cut back on unnecessary expenses. So for example, and I know it sort of affected the whole pandemic because we were forced to do that, maybe just skip like one day of eating out. You won't really notice it that much because like it was just one day for 1 week. But in time, gradually, small little progressive changes, it will add up. Hypothetical example right here. Let's say you used to eat out once a week and that meal costs like $20 every single week. So if you do the calculation here, let's say there's 50 weeks in a year. I know there's 52, but let's just make the math simple. $20 every single week that you're saving, that you're not spending, times 50 weeks a year, that is $1,000 every single year that you just saved, that you have now in your pocket because you didn't spend it. At that point, because you have saved $1,000, because you have $1,000 in your pocket, you're technically better than most average American citizens who don't even have like $1,000 in their savings account because they spent it all. At that point, you're better than the majority of most Americans because all you did was just not eat out once a week. Like how hard was that to do? You just sort of have that like delayed gratification mindset and you can achieve a lot of things. But just not eating out once a week, like it's not too difficult, right? It's just one day. But throughout a whole year, I know it might take a long time because it's a whole year, 50 weeks or so, overall you'll end up with $1,000. So those small little changes, just one day a week, that added up drastically. The next thing is that, let's say you want to learn a new skill. Obviously, learning a new skill, it takes time, right? You can't just go out and want to master the piano in like one day. You can't all of a sudden like arrange a whole symphony or an orchestra in one day. It's just going to take time. But again, going back to step number one, the hardest part is really just starting. I know it's discouraging because you're looking at other people who have already reached that point of success. They're at a pedestal and you're just starting. So it's discouraging because you want it done so fast. But I guarantee you, if you just devote like 1 hour a day just to learning this new skill or learning this new language, you will see a significant difference in time. But again, it takes a lot of time. But all you need to do is just devote 1 hour a day. Just 1 hour. After that, you'll get used to it, it'll become routine, and then you'll see how much you progress. If you happen to like track your progress, you'll see. Starting from day one, I know 2021 might seem like a long time, and then after maybe 2023, you look back and you say, wow, I improved so much because all I spent was just 1 hour a day, working on this. And lastly, because this is like an environmental channel, I do want to talk about like environmental changes. So these small little changes. Alright, so no one is gonna just cut back on like plastic and like creating pollution. That's not gonna stop all in one day. These small changes that'll take big effect, they start very small. These are small little lifestyle changes that will eventually add up in time. And with that, I'm gonna give you a perfect example of me. So before, when this whole pandemic happened, I used to drive to work every single day. It would be 20 miles one way, 20 miles back, so 40 miles in one day. Just do the math here, 40 miles in one day, 5 times a week, that's about 200 miles every single week. 200 miles times, say, 50 weeks a year, that's 10,000 miles every single year that I would run on my car and like pollute the air. But then all of a sudden, I discovered the train. The train was just so much more convenient. Let's say I just took the train 2 times a week. So every single Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I would drive my car, and then Tuesday and Thursday, I would just take the train. So if you do the math again, I would still drive 40 miles every single day, except now 3 times a week. So 40 miles times 3, that's 120 miles every single week. 120 miles times 50 weeks a year, that is now only 6,000 miles. Compare that to 10,000 miles. So I practically almost shaved like half of my mileage just because I started taking the train just 2 times a week. So I saved about 4,000 miles worth of car damage and 4,000 miles worth of like air pollution. And all it took was just like one little train ride. My first time taking the train. Yeah, it was scary, but overall, like just small little gradual steps like these small little changes, they can have a huge impact in the future. You won't see it right away. You won't see like that you're saving gas or saving money right away. But in the long run, if you do the calculation, like I did right now, in 1 whole year, it is a big difference. So why am I saying this to you and to me in the future? It's because I don't expect things to change drastically. I expect things to change gradually. It's going to take time, it's going to take discipline, and really the first step is just the hardest part because you don't really want to devote so much time thinking that, oh no, I'm not going to see results in like 1 month, so why even bother? In time, you will eventually reach that destination. You will see change. You will see improvement in your life because you were brave enough to take that first step into trying it out. And that's really all that matters here. So if anything, I hope that this encouraged you, and if all things, I hope that encouraged me to start something new the next year, 2021. New year, new me, new life. All it takes is just one brave step forward. By the time you look back in like 2023, you're gonna see, wow, I'm so glad I took that first step, because if I didn't, I wouldn't have gotten this far. Yes, it might have taken a long time, but every single day, every single week, I just spent like maybe 1 hour, 1 train ride. It added up, and I do not regret looking back at it. Alright, I'll see you in the next one.